Yes, welcome everyone once again. It is Wednesday at noon Eastern time, of course, but it's a very special Wednesday for a couple reasons. One, of course, it is April 20th, the most important day in the cannabis community. If you couldn't tell from my very subtle hat alerting you to the existence of 420, indeed. Mine's bigger, though.
It is true. Yours is bigger.
Mine we see much farther away.
Mine's made of hemp.
Indeed. Mine is, I'm sure, made of things that are very, very bad for the environment and probably made by little sweatshop children in China or Taiwan or something. I'm very sorry, but it says 420, so I'm trying my best. I'm celebrating. It's a celebration.
It is a celebration.
Not only is it 420, it's also the season finale of season 14 of the High Noon Hemp Show.
Crazy.
Indeed. Of course, you can find us in many places, live and video on demand. You got Facebook, the Hemptations Beach Facebook page. You have the Jedi Hemp YouTube channel, and you have @Hemptations on Twitter. If you don't want us in all of our video, visual glory, you don't need it. You can just have the podcast as well. You maybe, like I said, maybe before you maybe work out to it and you take long drives, whatever. You just want to hear us. You can do that as well. Search Podbean, Google Play, and iHeartRadio for the High Noon Hemp Show. I am Stoner Jesus. You can search me if you're intrigued by my name and what I do and the shenanigans I get up to. He is Beach. He's high above the Hemptations in Sharonville, the hemp quarters on this auspicious high holiday. Beach, how are things this huge week in the world of
Huge week. Yeah, always a huge 3-day period. Celebrating 420 today. 420 to Earth Day sale is going on. This is our annual 3-day sale that we've had almost since we opened. I think we've been doing the 420 to Earth Day sale. It's a little fun little graphic I made. If I see 420 on anything, I take a picture, and so this is just a little handful of some of the various 420s over the years. Hotels. It doesn't make a difference. I think the one picture on that clock is actually at a flea market that I was walking to on the bottom right corner. And I very well could have set that clock to 420 and walked away. It's hard to say, but because that is something else I do. If you put a broken clock in front of me, it will most definitely be set at 420 before I leave its environment.
We're gonna leave it there.
And sneak around places looking for clocks that don't work just so I can set them to 420. Let me tell you. And these are both, obviously Earth Day is more true to our hearts with all the hemp stuff, but 420 is just as big. I celebrate it just as much. It is just as much an important holiday in the cannabis world. It is the most important holiday in the cannabis world. What I really find is funny is, to all of us, 420 is 420. Okay, there are no other names for it. We celebrate 420. It's happy 420. But on my fun calendar, you can bring this up. They call it Weed Day. They call it Weed Day. But they go down in the description and they even mention how it's actually a daily thing. And so it's kind of funny how they do actually back up the definition pretty well of Weed Day. But again, it's just 4 days. Should just say 420. And then do the same description, because it's not Weed Day, it's 420.
Weed Day. I've never heard that.
No one ever in the history of time, honestly, except for these guys, they have obviously no clue, has ever done that. No one's gonna walk up to me and be like, "Happy Weed Day, Beach."
That's right.
It might happen now. It's probably gonna happen now because we're talking about it. But
maybe we'll start.
It's 420 and it's 420. Brief history of 420. If you don't know, the most backed up argument as how it became and existed is the fact that there was just these group of guys that every day after school they got together. I don't know if they officially called themselves the 420 Club, but they got high at 420. Rumor has it they were actually searching for something. I don't remember anyway how that all gets out, but and then all of a sudden they're just, I don't know, somehow it got big on the I think the dead scene. I would say probably really passed the 420 along nationally during the 80s.
Like High Times magazine around 90-91, I think, like when it first made print, and that's how I guess it's spread even farther.
Yeah, I believe that. Again, because I think the rumor, I believe, is that it was these kids were growing up in the 70s or something.
Yeah.
Before that's how far back it went until it became again so big. When we opened in '95, I think the scene was educated, but no one, the rest of the world really didn't really even know what 420 was. And for probably the first, I don't know how many years, we believed the rumor, even spread the rumor that it was the police code
Yeah.
for
See that
cannabis use.
sometimes.
And so that was kind of I think originally, and then we started getting more verification of where it actually came from, and I tend to believe that. Again, truly amazing how things happen in this world, how they spread and what they become. Um, you know, 420 is 420, but it could have been 359. They could have called themselves the 359 Club. And again, who knows? Who knows how? Why it was exactly 420, which I love. It's not like 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock or 4:15. 420 is, just a great random time. Um, here's my 420 trick. What I do is I take 5 clocks in my vicinity and I set them all a minute apart so I can enjoy 420 for about 5 minutes.
There you go. Stretch it out.
you know, but that's some fun stuff. And of course, we're also celebrating Earth Day this week. Again, Earth Day is huge for us. The main reason that we sell hemp and have the largest selection of hemp on the planet is because of its environmental benefits. When we started in 1995, and I walked over to my copy of Jack's "The Emperor Wears No Clothes," and I said, "I want to sell hemp stuff. If we're gonna open a store, original partner, if we're gonna open a store, I want to sell hemp stuff." That was exactly how it went down. I got up, I walked over, got the book, said, "I want to sell hemp stuff," and it was because of cotton. How cotton was destroying the planet and the hemp fiber thing. Now hemp has boomed into this, and again, even in Jack's book, he had a challenge that if you could prove anything wrong, do it and he'd pay you. And I think he proposed that there were 50,000 byproducts of industrial hemp, and that's all of them now, barring except for maybe the CBD. That might have been the only thing. And he might have even, and all honestly, I'm gonna have to go back and look at the book. He might have even talked about that, because I know that CBD has been medically studied over in Britain for a long time. I think that's really kind of one way what it's gotten here, and all the other things or whatever. But so, again, Earth Day. I will also say that the first Earth Day happened 12 days after I was born. That would have been in 1970, if you guys want to do the math, on April 26th. And it was originally more of a university college thing that this professor was trying to spread to these universities to celebrate Earth Day and take the time to consider all the things that we do to the earth and how we should be kinder to it. And so not to be confused with Arbor Day. And Arbor Day has been around for almost 100 years. And Arbor Day celebrates the planting of trees. And Arbor Day has gone, originally Arbor Day was in April, I believe. And then my generation would remember Arbor Day probably happening in the fall. You don't really see a whole lot about Arbor Day. And it was almost, again, it was something they talked about in schools and whatnot, because I feel like it was almost kind of like the United States' kind of thing. But Arbor Day was also started by an independent person, I believe. And, usually on Arbor Day, you can find people that are willing to give you free plants to plant and whatnot. And so, which is good, because we need more plants, not less plants. And if we made everything out of hemp, then we wouldn't have to cut anything down. I guarantee it. And so, welcome everyone to the High Noon. Hemp Show, the 420 to Earth Day episode. And again, it's still more Earth Day oriented than 420, but we celebrate 420 as much as anything. And it's a blessed day. It says blessed day 420 on that one picture, or blessed something. I don't remember what it was, but I forget where we were when I found that. But it was like in a bed and breakfast room or something that we stayed in, and it just happened to be 420. And so anyway, all right. Well, we're gonna roll the newest little commercial, and we'll be back for the product spotlight.
Hemptations is proud to be your source for all things hemp, including CBD, deltas, and much, much more. Join us for the 420 to Earth Day sale. Everything for 20% off from 420 to Earth Day 422. Having Hemptations.
There you go.
Da-da-da. Now for the product spotlight. 4 from the store, 1 from my door. This week we don't have any more because we got a lot. It's a big show. We don't need more. We got 420 to talk about. Speaking of 420, so the first 2 products here are actually more on the lines of 420 than not. I've been showing the Enjoy products, I think a couple times already, because these are actually legally extracted Delta 9, and so this is the syrup is the highest concentrate of legal Delta 9 you could probably find on anywhere in a non-legal state. Even though, once again, 100% legal because it's extracted from industrial hemp. And the Farm Bill clearly states that all products, including extractions, are legal. And so you can celebrate 420. Come in and get your 20% off. I forgot to tell everybody, everything is for 20% off for the next 3 days in the stores. And you can take advantage of that online, even though our online goods are limited. You can take advantage of that online by putting in the code 420EARTH. That's 420EARTH online to get the 20% off of your online purchase at Hemptations.com via PlanetEverywhere.com. Or actually, it's the other way around. It's PlanetEverywhere.com via Hemptations.com. You can go to either to shop. So anyway, get the Enjoy, the highest concentrate of legal Delta 9 that we have on the shelves in the syrup. And those bars, I had one of the employees tell me they ate a whole one of those bars, and I think it's 80 milligrams. And he was like, it was not a good idea, Beach. And I can tell you, my employees are hip to the THC. So, that tells you something. Once again, these products come with a do not operate heavy machinery warning, I suppose. Test at home on the couch before going out. Can we put that on the label? I think that's the perfect disclaimer, and I'm going to start letting all the employees know that that's what they should tell people that buy these. Test on the couch before going out. These Space God gummies, and we've been carrying the Space Gods were actually. There should be a picture of those. There we go. The Space God gummies were actually the first real, although we've had a couple products that have just a little bit, of Delta 9. But these were probably the first. And so, again, there's, a good little amount of 100% legally extracted industrial hemp Delta 9. I feel like I really need to have that whole wording out there to make sure that everybody knows that this Delta 9 is not coming from marijuana. And it comes from industrial hemp. And once again, 100% legal. So celebrate 420 responsibly and get your goods from Hemptations. Don't have to drive to like Chicago or some crazy place to Michigan, I guess, would be the closest.
Yeah.
To do things legally, as they say. So there you have it. And then the next, we're going to flip it, go straight to the Earth Day part of the show for the product spotlight, and show you 2 of my favorite hemp products that we have on the shelves right now, which are the Hemp Straws. You can get I think a 5-pack, a 10-pack, or a 100-pack. And once again, if we replaced every straw, biodegradable, compostable, all the good things that you want in a straw when you're done with it, if we were to replace every plastic straw with a hemp straw, I cannot even imagine the amount of that amount of debris, plastic debris alone, that we would save the planet from. It would just be amazing. I mean, like, I just can't even imagine how many straws are used daily in the world. Now, I think the United States is probably one of the biggest users of straws. I don't know. And I don't know how they got us to believing that we should use a straw. I'm like, you give me a glass of something, I hope the glass is clean. Why can't I drink out of the glass? Why do I even need a straw? In all honesty, I really do feel like that's a part of it. I mean, maybe for like a to-go cup from the drive-through makes sense. I can see that possibly. But other than that, I don't. We really just need to not use straws to begin with. But straws are one of straws and the next product that I'm going to show you, plasticware, are two of the biggest pieces of plastic probably being attacked rightfully, because they're two of the straws are probably the biggest one that go to the landfill, just pile it up. They're going to leave their petrochemical plastic's going to last forever, and it's going to break down slowly, and the birds will probably eat it, and then somehow they'll make it into the water system, and then the fish will be eating it. Again, it's just terrible idea. Here is the hemp tensils. If we could once again replace all of the petrochemically based plastic utensils that have ever been given away from any restaurant with your to-go order or whatever. I mean, like, I used to collect these because some restaurants would just give them to you, and then I just have them, and I'd try to reuse them at parties or something, but made out of plastic. And again, straight, if you use it, it goes straight in the trash. I don't eat hot foods with plastic utensils. I think that's just that, and in my entire life, I have felt like that's just a ridiculous idea to begin with. It's almost like styrofoam, and really, I mean, we use styrofoam for really hot stuff because it's really insulator, but then you're going to heat that styrofoam up, and styrofoam lasts forever in the world, like 500,000 years, 500 to 1,000 years. Even the smallest little bit of that getting into the human body system seems like a ridiculous idea. And I sure don't want petrochemically based plastic utensils melting in my food as I'm trying to eat it. But you get old hemp pencils, you can feel good about it. Honestly, again, really shouldn't do much harm to the human body if that does happen. And then once again, compostable, biodegradable. You're done with them; they're going to break down, go back to nature. Just one of the reasons why a lot of the industrial hemp products on the planet are at least carbon neutral, because whatever carbon it may take to grow it, it's going to go back to the planet if the products are given back to the planet when we're done with them, which is, most of all of them. Clothing, wood, whatever you want to, get rid of. It shouldn't go to a landfill. That's for sure. But I don't know if, I'm not even sure. I bet, I don't know if my hemp paper that I throw in my recycling bin all day long actually gets recycled or not. I hope so. I mean, it's like 75% recycled already. Okay. And so, it's a good thing. It's for sure. It's a good thing. So there you have it on the product spotlight, the 4 from the store anyway, or from 420 to Earth Day. Now, the one that I'm going to show is also kind of 420 to Earth Day, because again, these are some things that I use on a daily basis. This little hemp composite tamper on the bottom of my lighter was a sample, and I do want to get them in the stores because I think it's a great idea. And then my round tin there, it's not a tin, it's a hemp. It's a composite, a hemp. So I should just call it a hemp. My hemp there. I carry my stuff around with me as well. And of course, it's on my desk, which is made out of hemp. And of course, that hello, my name is high sticker is actually a hemp sticker. So there you have it. 4 from the store, 1 from my door on this auspicious 420 to Earth Day episode of the High Noon Hemp Show.
And every day, the beachwear segment is very important, but I think on this day it's even more important because people want to know what they should be wearing. I mean, that's what they come here for: guidance and, well, guidance, not only the information and entertainment, but more than anything else, the guidance from Beach. We have a segment, of course. If you've never watched the show before, if this is your first day, well, you're in for a treat because it is, as I mentioned, the beachwear segment where hemp and fashion collide. Because I asked Beach a very important question, and he gives me the answer in various ways when I ask, "What are you wearing, Beach?"
That's right. If you're curious, what are you wearing, Beach? Now you'll know today on 420. Up on top there, got my classic head case Hemptations 420 hat. We had these custom made for us, way back in the day. Again, probably 20 years ago. This may be the only one that I have that's Hemptations. I have some other states even because they did a lot of other states and whatnot, but this is the true Hemptations 420 hat. My hoodie is a Dash Hemp hoodie. I kind of talked about Dash Hemp not too long ago. They're still out there. They're still doing some great stuff. I have a lot of their clothes from older days, and I need to wear them more. And so that's a Dash Hemp hoodie. Check them out online. This is probably my favorite 420 oriented t-shirt that I have in my closet. It doesn't say 420, but I think "we'll smoke weed for weed" pretty much sums up the 420 ideology, I think. And so again, we printed that. That's an Ono t-shirt that we printed here at Planet Everywhere probably about at least 10 years ago or so. And again, definitely one of my more favorite pro 420 ideology. Most of if you watch the show, it's like every week I have a Hemptations University t-shirt, or it's usually Hemptations this, that, or the other, hemp this, pro hemp, vote hemp, whatever. And I really don't have that many, I would say, hemp shirts that are on the pro 420 ideology message. But this is definitely my favorite out of all of them. When I, and so it draws a lot of comments when I go out too. Trust me, a lot of people really enjoy this t-shirt. And I think we made it back in the day when everybody was like doing a "we'll do this for this thing" joke, which is obviously a play on "we'll work for food," which was used to be the standard cardboard sign of a bum who would not work for food but really just wanted you to give him money. Not a homeless person. I'm not talking bad about homeless people. I'm talking bad about bums. Totally different. Okay, bums actually have a home. They go back somewhere. Most of the people you see standing on the side of the highway at the exit ramps or whatever, looking all pathetic, they make more money than I do in a year probably doing their thing. They are not homeless. They are bums. They're bummy freeloading. That's different. I have empathy for homeless people. I don't have any empathy for someone that they can stand there for 4 hours, 6 hours holding a sign, but they can't go somewhere and get a job.
Right.
Oh, that's just ridiculous. That's just lazy. Homeless people are usually homeless due to a psychological issue.
Yeah.
For the record to be straight. But unless that's the real issue and you're just out there with a sign. Anyway, that's enough ranting on that for today. Let's get on with this great 420 episode. I found some really no, I didn't finish this yet. What am I doing? I'm trying to move on. I'm ranting about that. Let's talk about these Orvis pants of mine. I've been talking Orvis. Orvis has got some hemp stuff out there now. And of course, in my Orvis pants, you will see my Green Springs technology pen hanging out of there. That's the most carried hemp product personally that I have ever had. Can't even imagine how many days, what that record is, of how many days I've carried a hemp pen one way or another. And then underneath it all, I've got some Hemptopia briefs, and bringing it together on the old feederoonies there. Good old pair of Satori Canna-Leaf socks and a classic. Probably, I think this was my second or third pair of Adidas shell toes that I bought. This might have even been the color that we sold in the store at one point or another, because we did actually sell for a brief amount of time the original Adidas hemp shell toes. And so there you have it, folks, on this 420 to Earth Day episode. Now you know, what are you wearing, Beach? Which is more 420 oriented today? On Earth Day, I'll wear green and maybe brown, the colors of Earth. I guess I could do gray too. There's a lot of gray naturally in Earth. Can't forget about the rocks. They're just as important. They're the ones sacrificing themselves for all our gravel driveways.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Anyway, all right, folks, let's get on with the 420 to Earth Day news. There's some fun food releases today, and this one's pretty cool. Crystal, and I hope that these aren't jokes, and if they are, I'm okay with it because I think it's great. But Crystal is apparently releasing, and this has been happening over the last 420s with CBD food, not THC food, but they're releasing a CBD slider, as they're like to be called. And I love this. Again, on a beach note, I love Cajun. It's like probably one of my favorite styles of food, spicing, flavoring, or whatever. And so Cajun barbecue, I don't know much about. That's something I'm also willing to try. There are no crystals around here, and guess what? They probably wouldn't launch it around here. It's probably going to be like Denver only, or maybe somewhere in, I don't even know if there's crystals in Denver, because crystals are more in the South. So it'll be interesting. Now, again, they could release it here. I don't know why they wouldn't. CBD is 100% legal in the state of Ohio. They could definitely do this. I love the small fry, small drink for 420. Definitely going to go with the meal on that one. Mm-hmm. And so here's a little fun 420 fact that I forgot to mention in the opening of the show that I just realized. If you take 2 710s, you get 1 420.
That's true.
That math works, folks. That math equation is 100% true. So anyway, back to the news. This little bit of news I love, because these people may have come up with one of the greatest names for a shop ever in the history of time. Okay, in Chicago, there are apparently shops called Wake and Bakery. Come on, it's genius. And they're doing THC coffee, and again, this is legal industrial hemp. They are a CBD, Delta 8, legal Delta 9, and of course, in Illinois it's legal anyway. But I believe they are just CBD oriented. I don't know if they're really THC oriented. But on the storefront, it was more CBD, Delta 8, and then they did have like a THC coffee that they were offering. And so, again, kudos to you. Genius name. You'll probably have a chain of stores in Chicago in no time. I think they've been in Chicago and they're expanding right now. So I think this was like an expansion that they were opening up just recently. But Wake and Bakery, brilliant. Just absolutely. Even if it was called Wake Bakery, you could be. But Wake and Bakery is it's just great. Brilliant. Kudos to you. Article titled, I think I have a picture of this, of a couch. Article titled, Introducing Sustainability at home without sacrificing style. And the quote in the article, and I love this quote, we are also particularly keen on hemp fiber fabrics. And so this is what this couch is about. And this was the interior decorators that they were talking to about using sustainable goods and whatnot. But this is using some hemp fiber, which they are particularly keen on.
That's right.
We don't use the word keen enough, I don't think. And I know there's a shoe company called Keen now, and they're supposed to be environmentally friendly, if I remember correctly. I'm gonna have to look into them to see. I feel like they might have even had a hemp shoe at one time. Not positive on that. So anyway, here's some terribly awful, ridiculous news. Apparently, the largest CBD crop in Spain has been destroyed by the government. Okay, now CBD is legal, but you can only grow hemp in Spain for textiles or grain. This I did not know. But apparently this was like 420,000 roughly plants destroyed. I think they had a value of like $10 million or something. And it was all supposed to be shipped out to other countries. It wasn't even supposed to stay in Spain, I guess, which I don't, really understand. But they had mentioned that most of it was going to be shipped out as CBD once it was matured to other countries. Possibly where you can't grow hemp in other countries, but you can possess hemp. And because again, the European Union came out and said CBD is good, we're good. Now growing hemp for CBD, that's a whole other thing. Country laws over there are, just as mixed up as the state laws here when it comes to trying to figure out who's doing what and what's really legal and what's not. And so, it's just, once again, all the people that CBD could have helped have nowhere to go. I suppose that's the real tragedy in this. My understanding was, and I get it, Spain is supposed to be pretty cannabis friendly, period. Barcelona is supposed to be like legal, like you can go and buy it there. And my understanding of Barcelona is you have to be a resident. But there are places, bars and whatnot where you can go in. And if you're a resident, you can buy cannabis to smoke legally. THC Delta 9 cannabis, I should say. High levels. And again, I knew Spain. I thought Spain was industrial hemp friendly. Obviously, not when it comes to growing for CBD, but it is when it comes to growing for textiles or grain, and probably more textiles than anything. To be honest with you, I think that more European countries are hip to using hemp as a textile than they are even as a food product, which is kind of crazy because a lot of European countries are kind of more cleaner eaters. They don't buy into all this antibiotics in the beef and genetically modified this, that, and all the others. They try to stay more natural to things, I think, when it comes to the foods that they eat. I also think that's another reason why there's really not a whole lot of extra large Europeans. You just don't see it because they don't have the diets that the average American has. So anyway, I'm glad it wasn't fiber or grain, but that's just an unbelievable amount of loss. I feel for the growers, the farmers to take that loss. In the long run, I'm sure they knew the liability, or maybe they didn't. Maybe they just, because industrial hemp once again is legal in Spain and this is considered industrial hemp, they didn't think that they were actually breaking the law at all. And so it's terrible. It's terrible that it was all destroyed. And again, there's no hope for it. It's gone, from my understanding. So some more bad news here, semi-locally, is Michigan is not allowing hemp-derived Delta 9 THC now. Which again, I don't, and again, this is all coming out for, and I feel for everybody in Michigan who's been used to the way it's been in Michigan for the last like 10 years or so. they have just recently changed their medical marijuana laws and all this other stuff, and now there are like they've gone from being barely regulated as an industry to like over-regulated as an industry. And I just again they're going backwards now. And the real question that I asked the politicians in Michigan and the governor of Michigan is it that bad that you have to do that? I mean, again, you're not people like dying in the streets from their cannabis use. Has crime gotten so high that you have to be more stringent? No, your morals and your want to control people is what's doing all of this, and so it's just ridiculous. And so it's interesting as we seem to be getting more freedoms in the United States and different states and different places, and even with the federal government and whatnot. But then they still keep taking them back. It's like it's the proverbial 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards. Which I just don't get. It's like the people step forward 2 steps, and the government almost automatically says, "No, that's too many steps. You took 1 too many steps there. We're going to bring you back." Just, just makes zero sense, honestly. Again, anybody has faith in politicians and that they're doing the right thing for us, they're wrong. We do the right thing, and then they take it back. Every time we try to do the right thing, they take it back. And if we actually accomplish doing the right things, then they just change the laws. I mean, it's just crazy. Slowly but surely, 2 steps forwards, 1 step back. 2 steps forwards, 1 step back. I can do nothing but laugh about it. I've been doing nothing but laugh about it for 25 years. So anyway, here's another fun food getting launched for 420, and Wingstop describes these wings as wings that taste like 420. That was the headline. Wings that taste like 420. And as you can see from the ingredients, they have both hemp seeds and terpenes, and that's where they're going to get that taste. That's where all they got to do is put a terpene that most of us are used to tasting. Terpenes, if you don't know, is a cannabinoid. I don't know if they're not considered cannabinoids or considered terpenes, but it's a part of cannabis's breakdown, which normally gives us the flavor. Now we're also finding that terpenes have benefits to them as well. Certain terpenes can do this, certain terpenes can do that. But where we're seeing terpene use more than anything now, as we're isolating it, and this has been done for years. So the one thing about the show Bong Appetit that I really loved, and this is a show about cooking with cannabis on every level, is their spice closet, so to speak, of cannabis stuff. They had the terpenes all out there. And again, limonene kind of gives you that citrus smell. Pinene is where you kind of get that piney flavor. And there's some other common terpenes that if you've used enough cannabis Delta 9 THC products, flower, that's how we get the bubblegum flavors. That's how we get the names that are based on kind of a flavor and whatnot, is from the terpenes for the most part. And so, how brilliant is this? And again, you can legally extract terpenes from industrial hemp. So once again, those terpenes are 100% legal in every state, except for possibly Idaho. I don't know what's going on with Idaho, but they're doing one of the products that we sell says legal in every state but Idaho, and I don't know what that really means. And that could be they've already attacked the Delta 9 part, and there's too much Delta 9 in it, or there's any Delta 9 in it, which is once again 100% legal, extracted from industrial hemp. So get out now. This is definitely now between the Cajun and barbecue slider and these terpene infused wings. That is a great 420 meal right there, folks. I mean, that's a 420 meal I would love. I mean, I do love my chicken wings. Don't and so and I usually like them hot, but I'll take them 420 flavored. Are there Wingstops around here? Should we be calling some Wingstops? I don't even know. Again, we don't go out very often. I have no idea what kind of fast food joints or whatnot exist, but um, I'll have to see if there's a Wingstop around and give them a call and see if they're doing the old tastes like 420 wings. I mean, I would love to see that on a menu, like flavors. Just list the flavors, spicy, garlic, spicy, hot, 420. Just 420. 420 flavored. Everyone would know, or they would ask, and then they would know. Oh, man. That's great stuff. Great stuff. Here's some new clothing coming out. The Taylor Stitch Workhorse Hoodie. And this is made, and I think I talked about Taylor Stitch's Boss Duck fabric not too long ago. I think that they are releasing quite a bit of clothing using what they call the Boss Duck fabric. And that is made from hemp, recycled polyester, and organic cotton. And those are all great options for fiber. Again, the only cotton that I support is organic cotton, because that means it's not part of the cotton that's being grown that's destroying the planet or has already destroyed parts of the planet. Organic cotton, I wholeheartedly 100% support. 100% support. I support anything if it has organic in the front. I don't care what you're growing. You grow whatever you want, make whatever you want. If it is truly organic, and it says organic, I'm all for it. That's the only way to stop mistreating the planet for our own benefit, is to make all the things we plant organic, or as organic as possible. And so, not make seed that then requires a chemical to kill, that the stuff's, again, it just makes zero sense. We can use more chemicals. And the argument is, well, you get more food. You're making more food. Like, but you're using more crap. It's just more crap that you're putting into the planet that we don't need. Just grow the food without it, and we'll grow twice as much food. There's all kinds of land still available to grow food on. But, their argument is, well, we don't have enough, and if you make it bigger, and blah, blah, blah. No. We don't need the chemicals. We don't need the crap. We don't need the if we're going to genetically modify something, do it through natural breeding, as the plant has done. Go find the soy plant that's bigger and better than the other ones naturally, and then start planting that one everywhere if you have to. That's the way we've done it for 10,000 years. That's the way man did it. We have, starting from the Fertile Crescent, as we become agrarians, that's how we became agrarians. Like, oh, well, this wheat grows better here and taller here. We're going to keep that one. And cannabis is no different. Cannabis, in my opinion, is the most genetically modified through breeding plant on the entire planet. And look how far we've gotten without, well, I will have to say that there were chemicals, and there are still chemicals being used on Delta 9 THC flowers. Again. And so, that's why I want to see organic on all cannabis products as well. And they need to make it legal, so that when I go to the store and it, says I can buy my organic cannabis Delta 9 THC flower, that I can be hopefully that is actually true. Right now, you don't know. And if you have to buy on the black market, you have no clue, in all honesty, what was used to grow that. And so, anyway, organic is good. Is my, again, that's an Earth Day rant right there in the show. Organic is good. I should say great. Here's some more bad news. Of course, I guess the DEA is now trying to get involved in this whole Delta 9 extraction from industrial hemp thing, and so We'll see what happens. The same argument should hold true in front of the judge that has held true that is true for all of these things. Once again, there is nothing that is excluded from industrial hemp. As long as it's industrial hemp. At the end of the day, when you harvest your plants and it's got that 0.3% THC or less, it's industrial hemp. Once it's past that test, and everybody likes to give it that test, once it's past that test, anything made from that industrial hemp is legal. I don't care what it is. Doesn't make any difference. Like I said, if we could make cocaine from industrial hemp, it would be legal. And I honestly would. Okay, now that again, here's the thing. They've given us a legal amount of Delta 9 THC to put in the plant, 0.3%. They gave us that. Now, just because we found in a loophole that, so we extract the CBD for an isolate, all of a sudden we've got this jar of Delta 9 THC left over, 100% legal. Nothing illegal about this Delta 9 jar of Delta 9 THC that was extracted from legal industrial hemp, sitting on the shelf. Well, what do we do with that? Why don't we sell it to the public? 100% legal. Nowhere does it say we can't. And in fact, it explicitly says in the Farm Bill and most state laws that we can. Because if we pass the test at the end of the year, that 0.3% by dry weight, we can do whatever we want with that plant after that. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I feel like this one might be, we'll see how far this goes and where it gets to. We're seeing a lot of pushback now, or we're starting to see a little bit of the pushback. It's now, hopefully maybe they'll just kind of jump over and forget about D8 and D10 and HHC and all those other ones for a minute or whatever. But, now that we're getting more sciencey with the industrial hemp flower and what we can do with it, the government's like, oh man, oh no. Yeah. They don't like it, which I don't understand. Yeah, they just need to get over it one way or another. And again, responsible use at this point. We're gonna start promoting responsible use of these things, just like anything. That's even if it's we've always told people responsible use with CBD. Start small. Find out how it affects you. Don't what I mean? Even though it doesn't get you high, so to speak. CBD or not, and even though I knew that, we still try to let customers know that. First use in anything, I don't care. Be smart about it, one way or another. That's just being a responsible human being. So do it. And apparently in North Carolina, it's going to be just the opposite. This is crazy. Apparently, as of July 1st, hemp could be illegal in the state of North Carolina. All hemp, any hemp. And North Carolina is one of the largest growers of industrial hemp in the country now, I believe. They're huge growers of industrial hemp. Now, what's supposed to happen is, so I guess when North Carolina legalized industrial hemp, I think 5 years ago or so, like again, around 2018, when that farm bill passed, that's when they put it on paper. What they actually did was they made a hemp exception to their marijuana laws. Okay, well, guess what? That hemp exception to their marijuana laws is going to expire as of June 30th. Now, my understanding is that there's they have a session in May that would give them the opportunity to hopefully just vote to extend that. But if they don't, all hemp, like we're talking about, farmers have already probably put hemp in the ground down there. It's the South. And so by July 1st, they're going to be halfway through their crop. Well, they'll be, 2 or 3 months into it, And all of a sudden they may have to pull up every one of those plants if there's not an extension, or they don't vote or change the law, or whatever. But I mean, apparently I guess if this was the way it was before, they're going to have to put another hemp exception in there. And so we'll see, though. But if you're in North Carolina and you're involved in hemp and all, I mean, they just had to right now today, they're having a huge hemp fest down in downtown Asheville. And so, it's like a 3-day event going on, all based around hemp. And there's been a decent sized hemp event down in Asheville every year for a while, if not two. But I can't imagine what that's going to do to an industrial hemp farmer down there, because again, there's a lot being grown. There's a huge industry, and my understanding is, once again, that means no, you can't have it in the stores. You can't have any products made of hemp, apparently, or something. I don't know. It's crazy. So if you're in North Carolina, you better get on your representatives and whatnot and be like, don't do this. Don't let it expire, I should say, is really the key there. If they let it expire, then I don't think there's anything anybody can do till they fix it, which would just be nuts. Totally crazy. Here's a cool piece of clothing. This is Stitch Fix. Apparently Stitch is a common name when it comes to clothing these days, especially ones using hemp. But this t-shirt is actually hemp, and Stitch Fix is releasing a whole line of naturally dyed hemp line is what it is. I love it. It's called the Earth Day Cloud Wash. So that's pretty awesome in itself. Or that's the color. I don't know if that's the color, Earth Day Cloud Wash, maybe. But they're doing, women's and men's shirts in multiple colors, different colors, naturally dyed, which again is a vast improvement from anything else. No doubt about that. Again, that's Stitch Fix doing their naturally dyed hemp line of clothing. Here, and again, this is. I knew I would be reporting more and more on this as we went along, depending on how long we were on the air. But apparently, Montana is already one of the states that's going to look to transition its CBD hemp growing to fiber and grain. And so, I don't know what that really means, other than telling farmers that there might not be as big a market for CBD out there, and there is a market for fiber and grain. Or Montana farmers who were growing CBD they just don't like it. They didn't want it. It's not farming. Okay. It's horticulture. When you're growing for CBD, you're checking on these plants every day. I know there's some huge acreage of stuff, but even then, they're more or less, it's not like you just throw the seed out. Like when you grow for fiber or grain, you throw the seed out, you check the plants, make sure they're doing okay. Just like corn and soybean and all those other crops. You're checking on it maybe once a week at some period or whatever. You might drive by it every day, but you don't have to. With CBD, you're growing for the flower. You're talking about having to pay a lot of attention to that plant on a daily basis, honestly, to be successful. I think that's the one thing I've been saying from the beginning of all this is farmers don't want to grow CBD. Farmers want to grow fiber for fiber. They want to grow for grain. They want to do it like they've done it. At the end of the year, they want to get up in their combine and they want to go down and cut the field down. But they don't want to be out there walking through the fields every day trying to figure out, whether it's going to work or not, because that's not efficient. And that's why, once again, CBD was somewhat still expensive. It wasn't as easy to grow, so and all the way down the line, and of course they also kind of priced it with the THC market, which was weird to me from the beginning too. I mean, when we started selling CBD 10, 12 years ago, it was unbelievably expensive. But again, it was actually being imported.
Yeah.
And I think it was being imported from China somehow legally. The original CBD products, CBD oil. And again, it was more straight oil. It was The tinctures were probably one of the first mixed, where they were then putting that oil in something. And I think that started with people importing that CBD from China and then making their own CBD products. Because that was the only way that it could exist. And, we sold a decent amount of it, and slowly but surely as it got cheaper, we started selling more and more until we're here where we are today. And again, there's an unbelievable amount of CBD still getting grown. It'll be interesting to see. I know there was last year, I think, all in all, and I think the transition to fiber and grain that's again where I want to see more farmers, actual farmers, because then again, you grow 100 acres of hemp for fiber, that's a lot of fiber. You grow 100 acres of hemp for grain, that's a lot of grain, and we need all of that as much as anything. Both of those crops can be used also for building materials if they do it right. So, and really, when you grow for grain, you could grow for grain, and then also you have fiber that you could sell, and you also have the bast or the shiv, that mix that they use with concrete or animal bedding or whatever as a product to sell as well. And so, I really hope that the industry starts to go the way of, again, zero waste. So no matter what you're growing for, you figure out how to use the rest of the plant or sell it to somebody in some way, instead of just saying, well, we made our money with the grain, we don't care about the stock, which is what happens in Canada right now. We made our money with the fiber, and we don't know what we'll do with the shiv, which I would think that those two kind of go hand in hand as far as what you went in with, because once you break it down for the fiber, that's what you have left over is that bast, that shiv, those little pieces of stalk. And so I remember in Colorado after the first year walking through a barn that just had this, and they didn't have a resource for it at the time because it was all so new, just mountains of shiv and whatnot. And so, that can all be used for something. And speaking of something, that something is building. And so Steve Allen, his new hemp building 50 international case studies is out. So if you're interested in that, I like, again, 50 international case studies because I don't think there have been any case studies done in the United States on the hemp building. Needs to be done. We need to figure out exactly how strong it is, how much you can do with it, what you can do with it, so that we can not have to worry about architectural restrictions or government restrictions, building restrictions. We'll just know that, we know right now what we can do with it. I don't think they're doing foundations, bearing walls and things like that with it yet, but I feel like it can be used for that. We just need to be able to say, yes, this is just as strong as a concrete wall, which we're trying to do away with where we can, because again, there's a shortage of sand for concrete. If you don't know, that's true. All right, well, that's all the news for this 420 to Earth Day episode. There are like a million 420 events going on, so I'm not even going to try to talk about any of those. You do have April 23rd, 24th, the Pennsylvania Cannabis Festival in Kutztown. 26th, 27th is the Pennsylvania Hemp Summit in Lancaster County. I do want to mention in June, I know it's a little bit far away, but I want to get everybody thinking about it. They're going to do a Hemp in the Holler, June 17th, 18th, Hemp in the Holler down in Mount Vernon, Kentucky. I have participated in one or two Hemp in the Hollers in the past. We're talking about one of the original hemp farmers back in 2013, I think, was the first one, the first federally legal recognized crops. And you know, I think it probably represented well by the state of Kentucky and hemp. And again, they are one of the largest producers of industrial hemp in the country again, as they were when hemp became illegal in 1937. And so make your plans to go to Hemp in the Holler down in Mount Vernon. Guaranteed hemp knowledge all around. Now, I do have a question. This question was put to me on Facebook by one of our great followers, Victoria Khan. But she had posted to me that she was paying attention to something about Delta 8 and 10 coming underneath the farm board jurisdiction. And then she said, what's going to happen to all the people selling D8 or D10 products? Well, the only thing that the farm board can do in the state of Ohio is make a policy on the medical dispensaries rules for the most part, and who could sell D8 and D10. So I don't care if the Ohio Medical Board comes up with some trying to tell us that D8's illegal or D10's illegal. It's no different than when they tried to tell us CBD was illegal. Okay. It's only illegal if I'm selling Delta 8 or Delta 10 or THC or HHC or any of those extracted from marijuana. Okay. Once again, the farm board has it would have to actually be probably the Department of Agriculture, in all honesty, in the state of Ohio, that would have to make rules on that, because any rules that the farm board comes up with would only count for Ohio's medical marijuana. That's the only thing that they have jurisdiction over, that they can write policies for, that they can hold anyone accountable for, is the medical marijuana program in the state of Ohio. So if the pharmacy board or the medical board or whoever in Ohio is trying to say that Delta 8's illegal, Delta 10's illegal, that is 100% not true. Okay. They may have a policy on it, but it is not illegal in the state of Ohio. Once again, in the state of Ohio would have to make any one of those things illegal. Okay. And so that's the only way that they could be taken off the shelves in the state of Ohio. Now, maybe the farm board pulls the same thing where, once again, if you have any license, like an alcohol license or a tobacco license or some type of license, they're going to say, well, we're going to pull your license if you don't stop selling this D8 or this D10, which is what they did with CBD originally. And then the state had to come back and clarify. And they did with the farm, when we made industrial hemp farming legal in the state of Ohio. They also clarified, okay, they didn't make hemp products or CBD products legal. They clarified that CBD products were legal in the state of Ohio. And so it's the same with the Delta 8, Delta 10, and extracted from industrial hemp, 100% federally legal, state legal, locally legal, until they actually make it illegal. Okay. And so I have no concerns over the farm board in Ohio saying anything about cannabis that's not, they don't, that's I should say public consumer or whatever. It has zero effect over our customers. They have zero control over me. We are 100% tobacco free. We haven't had a tobacco cigarette license in 10 years. We don't sell any tobacco. We don't sell anything with nicotine in it. We obviously don't have a liquor license. We don't have a food license of any kind. So they don't have anything to hold over our head to say we can't do what we're doing because of their policies, which is what they were doing with CBD years ago when the tale of two CBDs was huge. They were trying to say that CBD was illegal, and the only CBD that was illegal was CBD extracted from marijuana, not CBD extracted from industrial hemp. the exact same with all of these isolates, all these cannabinoids, terpenes, any of this. If it comes from industrial hemp, 100% legal. If it comes from what they call marijuana, it's not legal. It's just that simple. In the state of Ohio, anyway. I'm just talking about the state of Ohio. Obviously different state laws are different. And so that is what it is. So I don't think the farm board can do anything about Delta 8, Delta 10 in the state of Ohio. If there's enough stir, they may do something with some of this other stuff or try. It's hard to say. We'll see, because seems like every week there's another state that's trying to make one of these cannabinoids or some of these isolates or whatever it is illegal. Some are working, some aren't. Actually, no one has worked long term yet. They tend to pass a law and then it gets challenged and then it gets overturned, which we've seen in Texas and we have also seen in Georgia already. And so, we'll see what happens in Michigan with what they're trying to do. See if that doesn't get reversed, And this is all, once again, just like it's so funny because it's just like the D8. All of a sudden the DEA says something and then everybody's like, oh my gosh, it's illegal, it's not legal, blah, blah, blah. Like the DEA is the law. The DEA is not the law. They are the law enforcement. The DEA doesn't write the laws. They can lie about the laws. They can make up crap. They're not beholden. Just so everybody knows, it's not illegal to lie. Okay? And the government does it all the time.
Yeah.
And law enforcement is one of the biggest when it comes to that. Okay? And so the fact of the matter is they can go out and they can say stuff and they're like, until they get checked. They don't care. They can't be held accountable for lying about Delta 8 being a controlled substance or illegal or a threat to society. Okay? Now they can get sued and they can get shut up, I suppose. But in all honesty, they'll come out and say anything that and again, they'll say that they believe that to be true because that is true that federally speaking, Delta 8 is illegal. Delta 10 is illegal. But once again, if it's extracted from marijuana, not if it's extracted from industrial hemp. That's another way that they can mislead the public by the statements that they make, because it's not actually a lie for them to say that Delta 8 is illegal. Delta 10 is illegal. That CBD is illegal. Because if CBD is extracted from marijuana in the federal government's eyes, that would make that CBD illegal. If it was grown with a plant that had more than 0.3% THC, then that CBD would be federally illegal. So, it's stretching the truth or making the truth sound like it's more than it really is kind of deal is what they're really doing. And hopefully with this newest test, with the THC, they'll get checked once again, and we won't hear anything else about it. We'll just have to keep watching the states. All right, folks. Well, happy 420. Happy Earth Day. Appreciate you being here for the High Noon Hemp Show. As always, on this glorious Wednesday at high noon. And that's all I got. So remember, reduce, reuse, recycle, make everything else out of hemp. Having Hemptations on 420.
Indeed.